Assalamu Alaikum. Hello everyone. Thank you so much for clicking to this video. I am Sadia and I am here with the most requested video. This video will all about Qur'an Journal inshallah. So I shared with you guys that I started doing a method called Qur'an Journaling, and I think 2 months ago now, and ever since I shared it with you guys, I have been getting a lot of comments from you for me to share a video about Qur'an Journaling. And here I am, inshallah. I will be sharing like all the links of the PDFs and Quran meaning, the Quran PDFs, and then inspirations to get from Pinterest. Like all the details and the links will be down in description. And in today's video, I will be talking about Qur'an Journal, how I started doing it, what Qur'an Journal is, and I hope you guys will have fun, and I hope it will be a beneficial video for everyone who is watching this. Okay, so my notebook will be with me today in this video because I do Qur'an journaling in this book. But just to note that to Qur'an journal you don't need to have an iPad or laptop. You can just go to a stationery, grab a notebook and just start Qur'an journaling. First of all, I want to share you guys my experience on how I used to study the Qur'an for the past 3 years. Especially as a young Muslim, I started studying the Quran, not just like reading it in its original language, which is Arabic, but I also started to studying its meanings, trying to contemplate about the verses, about the ayahs in the surahs, especially the mysterious stories in it. And when I shared it with you guys that I study the Quran on a daily basis, you guys were like, how do you study the Quran, Sadia? Like, how can one study the Quran? So first of all, I want to share with you the methods I tried throughout the whole past 3 years about studying the Quran. So the first method I tried was, okay, so basically I downloaded the English version of the Quran PDF on my laptop, and then I downloaded a note-taking application on my phone. And then what I used to do was for like half an hour, sometimes for 45 minutes to an hour, I used to open my laptop, read the English meaning of the Quran on my laptop. Basically, I read the PDF I downloaded, and if there was any ayahs, verses that caught my attention, I used to quickly open my phone and take down the notes of that ayah, that particular verse. And that went really like amazing, and that was my first ever time reading the actual meaning of the Quran. And until that, I remember that I had no idea about the verses, about I even had no idea about what the Surah Fatiha actually meant. So that time I remember how fascinated I was about the Quran, about a holy book. It just left me in awe. And then I especially like Surah Al-Kahf. That's how I like Surah Al-Kahf became my favorite surah. Well, obviously all surahs are amazing. Every single one of them are uniquely amazing in its own way. But Surah Al-Kahf particularly caught my attention because in that surah Allah especially mentions about the young believers who are in the way of Allah, in the path of Allah. And it just I just related to it so much, and I was like, this is such a heartwarming surah. And then there is also the story of Zulqarnain. There's also the story of Musa alayhi salam and Qadr. So basically that was the first time I started studying the Quran. It was a good method. It definitely made me fall in love with Quran, alhamdulillah. And then for a while I gave a break because I was studying for my final exams. So I think 6 to 7 months later I started another method. So in this method what I did was I only just read the meaning of the Quran, but I did not take any kind of notes. I downloaded a PDF, a Quran translation PDF in English because I also wanted to improve my English. So I downloaded an English Quran translation PDF here on my phone, and all I did was just read it and highlighted some parts and just read it, no taking notes, no contemplating about verses. My first priority about that method was to just focus on the meaning of the verses without taking any extra notes. That's also went cool, it went chill, and it went really fast because I did not take any notes. So reading is faster than writing, so I quickly finished that method. And the third method I tried was, it was the same PDF I downloaded, but this time I started taking notes on the PDF. Let's say that here on the screen there is Surah Al-Fatiha. What I used to do was just read the meaning. If there was a verse that caught my attention, I would quickly take note, like, oh, this is what Allah means in this verse, or like, oh, this is something interesting about this verse. So I would take note. At that instant about the verse or about the surah I was reading. That method, well, I'm going to be totally honest with you, it was not the best or not the most effective one. So unfortunately I had to leave it halfway because I was like, you know what, I can't do this. So I stopped there, but still I wanted to keep studying Qur'an, but I was out of methods. So I was like, what I'm going to do now? Should go back to the first one, which was the most effective one, or the thing is I just wanted to actually contemplate about the verses. And all the three methods I try, I could not do that in any of them. So I was like, what I'm going to do now, because I wanted to add my own thoughts to the verse and like just deeply contemplating about the Quran, because I know that Quran is not only about verses but also the meaning behind the verse. And then I used to oftentimes hear about this thing called Quran journaling. It never actually caught my attention until I did some researches about it. So Quran journal is basically same as like normal journaling. So if you guys don't know, I also do journal. Let me quickly show you guys my journal. So here, this is my Quran journal and this is my planner journal. And when I explain you guys, both of them, they are very similar to each other. So what you do is grab a notebook and then you start decorating. And then you start decorating it according to your own style, and you just plan your life, your days, your months. So this is bullet journal. Now I'm gonna show you guys my Quran journaling. This is my Quran journal. As you can see, the overall method is very similar. Decorate it according to your style, your aesthetic, and the rest is just about your Quran, and the other one is about life. So this is the difference between them, but overall mindset, the logic is the same. Like you decorate it according to your own style, you write your own thoughts down, everything just belong to you basically. And I just love that about overall journaling. When you journal, it's all about you. Like no one's opinion, no one's style, no one's anything, just you. Now for example, the difference between this planner right here and the difference between this planner right here and a normal ready planner is that is ready, like the weekly plan, the monthly spreads are already ready. So all you have to do is to make a to-do list, but this one is not like that. The pages of this are empty and you have to make your own weekly spread according to your own style and aesthetic. You can decorate it on your own and then make to-do list. I hope that makes sense, you guys. So that's why I just love journaling. It's all about you, your style, your thoughts. Anyways, now back to Quran journaling. Quran journaling is basically you dedicate your notebook only on Quran. It's all about Quran, and then you write your thoughts down about verses. If you watch tafsir videos on YouTube, then you can take notes down about that tafsir you are watching or you are listening to, which is about a verse or a chapter in the Quran. So there is basically what Quran journaling is now. I'll show you my Quran journal and then I will explain how I do it. The things about Quran journaling is, there's not any specific way to do it since it's all about you and your thoughts. and your own style. You can only, this is hard to explain you guys. There's not a specific way to Qur'an journal. All I can say is that you start holding a notebook, and that notebook is completely only about Qur'an. You write down your thoughts and important part of about the verse or chapter you are reciting. I'm going to show you mine, and I think you will exactly understand what I'm trying to explain. Okay, so first of all, I want to share what app I use to take down notes. So it's this one, it's Qur'an Note. So I am going to click on Qur'an Note right here. You are right now in my Qur'an journal. Yes, this is my main page. As soon as I open my Qur'an journal, it says Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful. As you can see, my style is pretty soft. A lot of pink, if you can't tell, it's my favorite color, and then some shades of green. Because I think the mixture of pastel green and pink is very pretty. And in the middle it says Sadia's Qur'an Journal, and then I have my favorite verse. It says, and verily in the remembrance of Allah do heart find peace, which I think is so beautiful and true. I also doodled some flowers. As you can see, it has different shades, green and then pink. I just love it. And I directly started with Surah Al-Fatiha. So some prefer to write down their thoughts about Quran, give some information about what Quran is and the Quran importance. But I directly jump onto the first surah and its meanings and my thoughts about the first surah. You see, it's very different. Everyone does it according to their own style, and this was my style. So it's completely depends on you, your style. Let me show you guys how I overall write down my thoughts and do Quran journaling about surahs that are in the Quran. So first of all, I obviously write the surah's name and the meaning of it in English. And then in this note paper doodle, I write down the benefits, important parts and the facts about that surah. For example, some facts about Surah Fatiha it is called as the mother of the Quran, and it includes all the messages Quran basically gives to us Muslims. Kind of summarizes the whole Quran, and that is what Fatiha known for. And it is also a prayer. By the way, I forget to include that. Usually in this note paper doodle, I note down the facts and the importance of the surah. And then I jump onto the favorite verse. And in Surah Fatiha, my favorite verse was Ihdina Siratal Mustaqim. Guide us to the straight way. I think it's such a beautiful verse, and I love this little feature about Quran journaling. You kind of ask yourself questions. For example, what is the straight way? And then in the same surah, Allah explains the straight way as well. What is the straight way? It is basically the way of those on whom you have bestowed your grace, not of those who earned you anger, nor of those who went astray. So Quran journal is like talking with your own self. It's very different. When you journal, just write down your thoughts whenever you are in a bad mood. It's something like that, but not exactly that. For example, I asked myself, what is the straight way? And it's sort of like I am talking with myself. I don't know. I think that's beautiful with you guys. Now moving on, after that I have this little did you know corner. And in the did you know corner, I usually prefer to write hadiths about that particular surah. I mean, if there are any hadith about the surah, I usually write it down on the did you know part of the Quran journal. So about the did you know part of the Surah Fatiha, basically it is described in a hadith of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as narrated by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. Allah the Exalted said, I have divided the prayer Al-Fatiha into two halves between myself and my servant shall have what he asks for. This is what Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said regarding Surah Fatiha, and I think that it is very beautiful. This hadith also motivated me to recite this surah more slower while I am praying, because Allah literally says that if my servant recites Al-Fatiha, I will give him what he asks for. And what do we ask for when we are reciting Al-Fatiha? We ask for straight way. Can you understand the logic there? It's crazy. Islam makes so much sense. Oh my God, I got goosebumps right now. I'm moving on. And then after the did you know part is done, now I finally started writing my thoughts about the verse that caught my attention. So there were two verses that caught my attention regarding Surah Fatiha. The first one was literally the first verse of Surah Fatiha, and it was Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. And another ayah that caught my attention was the third ayah, Ar-Rahmanir Rahim, the most gracious, the most merciful. So I will also quickly explain you about why those verses caught my attention. The reason Allah described himself as the most gracious and most merciful two times. He could have just started with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, but he also added the fact that he was the most merciful in the third verse as well, just so we can consistently remind ourselves of how merciful he is. No matter how many sins we have committed in this life, Allah will forgive us. That means that he is Ar-Rahman. Moment we seek his forgiveness, the word is kind to all human beings, including non-Muslims, and fulfills their needs. He will continue to favor us in this life, as he will forgive us is solely used for believers, Ar-Rahim, again and again, while the word as Allah will be kind to his believers in this life and hereafter. Al-Fatiha is a surah that explains Allah's love and mercy towards us in the simplest and best way. When we are reciting Al-Fatiha, we actually are in a conversation with Allah, and he responds to us after we recite each and every verse of the surah. Subhanallah. So this is overall how I Qur'an Journal, you guys. There's nothing super special or super hard and complicated. It is very convenient. I definitely recommend, especially my teenager young fellow Muslims out there, please start studying the Quran. I promise you will gain a whole new perspective about Islam, and I don't know, it will heal you. You'll change for better, and you will become more mature. You'll look at life differently, more simply, and you actually find your true purpose. I know that most of you guys want to share Qur'an Journal, and now I believe, inshallah, after this video you will start to do Qur'an journaling. Just like I said, iPad is not necessary. You can also just grab a book and start journaling, Qur'an journaling. I hope this video was beneficial, and also I want you to share photos with me if you actually start Qur'an journaling after watching this video. And I love you guys. I love you all so much. Stay safe. Allah Hafiz. Bye.